It's been a long one, and I need this one so high. Pull up and
Wash away the toxicity.
With the passion, and yeah, the candles moving, and yeah, the combos moving, and it's time for you to join the current. And we go again. Critically drinking, stay thirsty, my friend. Burning the clouds and hoping never. If it does,
Hustle culture. Hustle and grind culture is another version of it. I can sleep when I'm dead. You'll be dead.
It's showtime. Come in and have a drink with the whole crew. Come on then, join the panel or draw from the chat. Do it how you wanna do. The misfit thoughts keep the whole chat lit. Ooh, oh, and soon you'll be a part of it too. So come back again, my friend, or we'll come find you. Here we go again.
What's up?
Critically drinking, stay thirsty, my friend. Burning love and hoping never. If it does, oh, we'll be back again. Now let's make one thing clear. Because of you is why we're here. You give us life, you give us love. That is why we want you get to our heart. Come and join the show, cause we need you to grow. So pull up a chair and share with us all of the things you know.
Breathe
Here we go again. Critically drinking, stay thirsty, my friend. Burning the love and hoping never. If it does, oh, we'll come back again.
And like the song say, hey, don't. I will come find you. Easy way. With a hard way.
Amazing.
I got my own platform. If I got something to say, I hit my live button, ho.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Critically Drinking. And we are mic'd up with the wireless woman. We got connected, y'all. Come on in. How you doing, wireless? Now-
We got connected.
We got connected. We got connected. So we got Inya in the building. We got Yellow Peel. Amazing.
Exactly, Yellow Pill. Here we go again.
Woo. Let's let Princess K handle the let me quit. But no, anybody that does not know, Wireless Woman is a great content creator. You know what I did not do? Oh, forgive me. I'm gonna start here. I'm a terrible host. But if you would like to, so that I can make sure I link your channel in this video, would you like to introduce yourself, your channel, your brand of conversation while I handle the stuff I should have handled before?
Yes, I want to make sure I can be heard, though. I want to make sure that everyone in the back can hear me. Well, thank you. You're not a horrible host. I am the Wireless Woman. Ooh, thank you, Inya. Yeah. See, now you get to put a voice to the trolling ranter that's been in the comments all this time. I am the Wireless Woman. I'm Debbie and Nikki on other platforms because I do have books. I am actually an author. And I started in the whole podcasting game as an author. And I was doing like a lot of book shows. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to get to the people. And thus podcasting was born. So before I get into all of the wonderful accolades about myself, though, Rashawn, I wanted to say something to you. I wanted to reach across the mind.
Tell me.
Speak to you and tell you that I really appreciate your platform. Like, I really appreciate you as a person. We were talking backstage and you didn't know I was going to do this. So I'm going to do it now.
All right,
But
hit me.
I think you are a great mediator and moderator, and a lot of times with our platforms, we don't always give each other because we're always so busy doing our own thing. our flowers. And so I wanted to reach across the aisle to you, tell you how much I enjoy the people you bring together and the perspective that you have about things. You really be spitting. And so before I bury you, I want to give you
Oh,
your flowers first.
give me my flowers before you bury me. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
They're
At
gonna they're
least I,
gonna go on your coffin at the end of the show, but
whew, man. See, that's what happens, y'all. When you get together with a black woman, she's trying to kill you. Real talk, y'all. Real talk. I want to
yeah,
give a shout out to
it says kill
Let's.
your masters.
Oh my gosh. See,
Just for
Jesus.
you.
It all comes back. It all comes back in the end. Truth and purpose. Next is tap in. Hello, hello, my God.
Hello, hello,
And Brother
hello.
Clarence said, let's talk the better black life. Yeah, doing 2 a-days today. We got a special guest. I tried to book her on Wednesday so I could have the whole wireless Wednesday thing, but she already does her own wireless Wednesday, so it did not work out.
Do.
But we here.
I do.
We
And
are.
you're actually catching me as my new underground lair is being is being renovated, so this is a rare clip into the home life of the wireless woman. Most people just see me in my underground 50 shades of gray dungeon lair, but yeah, yeah.
And it's room 303, right?
Yeah, room 303. My sign's sitting right here. I'm looking right at it. Yeah, it's room 303, which is the room in the Matrix that you have to get to in order to find a hard line out. It's in the heart of the city hotel. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So the whole motif of the wireless woman is actually a hard line out. So you had to be connected to go wireless.
Right, because what you have to understand is there's a difference between the digital profiles, the Smiths, or bots, as you call them, that we live amongst, and the analog people who actually exist in the real world and we've been digitally placed inside of the matrix. But here's
I
the
like it.
thing. We wake up every day knowing something ain't quite right. We don't quite belong. And as we work to get these other people awake, we're not going to be red pillars. That would be a little weird. But as we work to help wake up these other people, you need a hard line out. It's like what Morpheus said. The matrix cannot be explained. You have to see it. You have to see it.
That's fair. I've learned that. I feel like it's I don't know if was it Plato's allegory of the caves?
Mhm.
I feel like it's another one of those things. Until you get
Mhm.
to a certain level and look back and see all the things that you were in, all the shadows that you were believing in first, and then you saw the people who were creating the shadows, but you still haven't seen true light. Like the further you ascend up enlightenment or knowledge, the further
Agreed.
back the deeper you can tell that you were trapped in darkness. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's a good analogy. I like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it.
It's
Um,
something that I deal with daily.
mhm.
And for every level of enlightenment that you come to, which I'm kind of upset at you because you're getting deep dev. You're getting the deep wireless woman right now.
Okay.
Hopefully we can start flying elbowing each other off the top rope in a minute. But I work in the belly of capitalism. Mhm, mhm. And
Of
we were
course.
having this conversation just because you brought up the blackness, and they want me to speak for Black History Month. I'm still not sure if I'm going to do it because I know if I do it, I won't have a job. But I was trying to explain that to them. I said, for someone who has never experienced blackness, you can't understand definitions of it either. It's one of those
That's
things that you can't
yeah.
quantify or qualify with any other thing. It exists as its own independent variable. And most people want it to be like, oh, so it's like when oh, Lord, Becky, please stop. Please stop. It's not like that at all. And they're like, no, no, no. It's like that one time so it's an independent variable that can't be compared against anything else. And that's basically what the wireless woman is about. It's about getting out of the matrix, getting out of the system, and being able to isolate a variable and deal with it, because most of us don't think critically because we don't isolate the argument. I'm talking to a guy about issues between men and women, and all of a sudden he's talking about being in the middle school and some girl that didn't pick him at the Sadie Hawkins dance. Like, please stay on script, sir. Stay on script.
You're right. people have a hard time making connections, even in their mind. Like the reason he would have jumped to that is because in his mind there's some feeling connected, but we can't connect the thoughts, and
Yeah.
that's where we have to do the work. Especially as men, we have to bridge our thoughts to our feelings better to
Yeah.
express what we're.
Women too, because they we can be all emotion and no logic. And while there is a place for
Yes.
emotion, well, oh no, 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 mm-mm, mm-mm, because see, you said it backstage. I know you're gonna tell everybody on me, and get them to your side, but we can be all emotion, and while emotion has its place in logic, and sometimes men don't understand that. There's the fifth element, and it is intuitive. It is something that only feminine energy can give to the discussion and the situation. There has to be a separation though between those two things, between logic and emotion. And logic can't be filtered through emotions, and emotions can't be rationalized with logic. So you have to see both sides of them and find the happy medium.
Okay, I can respect that. I say it differently, but I can see your point. I can definitely rock with that explanation. Now, as far as your channel, you say you are in charge of the girls.
I
You
am
are
in
in
charge of the
charge of the.
girls.
You are in charge of the girl. So you believe that your message is for the women.
Yes.
Now,
And the reason, did you have a follow-up,
no, please
qualifying,
continue. Please
clarifying
continue. Please
question?
continue. No,
Yes,
please.
I feel that. Um, okay, so I'm going to say something abstract, and then I'll actually say what I mean by that. So you and I are a little bit different because I'm a Christian heathenist. And so, like in the Bible, it says a lion and a lamb will lay down together and a child will lead them, right? And I always ask people, who's the lion? They're like, oh, it's Jesus, right? I said, well, then who's the lamb? They're like, oh, it's Jesus too. But nothing in nature works like that. Like you got a father, you got a son, where you get a son from? And you have nothing feminine in your Godhead. You have nothing feminine in your belief of the manifestation of the gospel. But the only way you can have a man and a child, you gotta put a woman in that concept. So what I love about the nature of God and how he teaches us things, because we start out as children and then we become adults, and revelation comes to us in stages. Like I talk to my 9-year-old son about stuff all the time, and he'd be like, okay, so that's like when I'm playing Nintendo Brothers, and I'm like, oh my God, like I have to explain to him things to him in anime, and I'm not strong in that area, but he's understanding it in stages, and it's the same way. So I feel like as we are coming to the end of time, and we're coming to the end of this system of things, women are the last to be revealed. We're moving into a place where technology has put children at the forefront of leading us. You see old people all the time get with a child and be like, show me how to do this. I got this file on my phone, and I don't know how. Most of us rely very heavily on children now to be leaders. When I talk to people who have switched over into the demonic realm of the iPhone, their excuse
What?
for why they took the mark of the beast is always because their child. They were like, well, my kid had an iPhone and I wanted to FaceTime with them. They let the child lead them into the darkness of perdition. Okay. 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 They took that bite right out of that apple of the eye. Anyway, my point is that we're at the point where the lion and the lamb need to lay down together, but the lion can't be the lion and the lamb can't be the lamb, and they coexist together. That's what we're in. That's why you see men and women fighting. But once we lay that down and a child leads us, we'll be at peace in our society. And I think that's the thing. There's a lot of men fighting against the revelation of the woman, particularly the Black woman being God. And the same way that they strung up a Black man, which was Jesus, and falsely accused him of a bunch of stuff and murdered him for his nation to watch. And we've seen that even in this country. It is time. It is inevitable that women will rise up to become their destiny, which is equals with men, because he gave us both dominion, and dominion doesn't work unless women, just like you can't get a baby. I don't care what Akon said. You can't get a baby without a woman. So we have to
Yeah.
become equals in order to cooperate with each other. And they're the men who resist that, just like white people who resisted, equality with blacks. That's where we're seeing this strife, this black dark strife coming from.
I I was trying to follow you. I was trying to follow you. I promise you. A lot of the concepts, man, I was like, I'm right here. And then you said something about demonic and mark of the beast and something about iPhone and tied those two concepts together, which let me know I was listening to the
To
ramblings of a lunatic.
right. It's just like Kanye West.
Yeah.
But even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. You just gotta listen to it long enough. You know, you know,
But
you
it
know.
obviously wasn't at 8:19 Eastern time. It was you probably right 3 hours ago.
I
And
was
you'll be right
prophesying.
in 9 hours. Oh, you were
I was
prophesying?
prophesying. Okay. And here's the thing you gotta understand. If you want to know the truth about the iPhone, you gotta ask Steve Jobs, but you can't because he's not here.
Oh boy. Woo. It's gonna be a long
Yeah.
night, ladies and
And
gentlemen.
that's the part where you put a
Long
tin
night.
hat on me. You put me in a tinfoil hat.
No, no, I get it. I get it. I just have to reel you in a little bit. That's all because like right
Let's go.
now
I'm ready.
you're
I'm
in the
ready.
stratosphere, but it's cool. I like see if you go, I know how high you can get. So now I gotta pull the
See,
kite
you're
up.
gonna make everybody think I'm doing drugs when I don't. But
No,
yeah,
no,
let's
no.
let's go, because the whole point is to talk about the blackness and how
The
I
black and
got
the
here.
lack.
Look at how I got here. So I told you I was gonna go off the grid to come back,
No,
but
that's cool.
that was my whole entire point, is we've gotten to a place as a people where we're disjointed and disharmonious with each other, but men don't understand that concept simply because she said apples are high in fiber, and they are one apple a day will keep the doctor away. But the problem that we don't understand, that I think a lot of men don't understand about this process, is simply because Yella, I know you ain't gonna talk. We sat and listened to you for 30 minutes. We was like, oh my God. So, but my thing is, I think men don't understand it because they don't go through the process of childbirth. Because we as women go through the process of childbirth, we understand a little bit better in some ways the process of bringing forth a life that came out of darkness, you know?
I mean, you trying it, but what I'm seeing what I'm seeing early on, see, I'm going to have to bring forth you out of darkness, out of the darkness of being dependent upon androids. Like you're already dependent upon a bot, so you're already in the wrong sphere, in the wrong dynamic. So I'm just going to pull you out of the darkness into the light of the apple.
Gotcha,
Just come
gotcha.
on.
Better a bot than a cult.
I mean, I don't worship the apple. You just
I
bite it
had
and
an
sit it down.
iPhone one time for 4 days, and the amount of like Apple like content that came to me, I couldn't I couldn't do it because it was like I had to have iTunes, Apple phone, Apple Watch, what's the earphones? Like then they wanted you to have like the iCloud and the
It's an
i and the
ecosystem. Yeah, it's
it
too
was the
much.
I.
It's too much.
Yeah, it was yeah, and then after like 3.5 hours I needed to buy storage. I had to have Apple Pay, Apple everything. I said, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I
I
get
don't know
it.
how y'all do it.
I
And
get
it's weird that I would be the one to say that when I'm clearly marching in the beat of the black cult, but that's something different. And I know you're here to call me out, so I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let you tell them what you told me backstage.
which part? Because we talked about a couple things, and I want to ask you about the karma chameleon. But which part did I say? I mean, we said a few
Ask me
things.
about whatever you want to ask me about.
Okay, okay. Well, my first thing is backstage. We were talking, and you said that I am a karma chameleon. I'm curious what that means to you. What does that mean to you?
It means, Rashawn, that you are all things to all people. it means that you're able to find the hole in the defense. Okay, because I felt yellow in my spirit when he heard me say the word hole. Calm down. Um, you
Infinite
find
hole.
the hole in the defense and you plug it, you know? And
Okay.
so it's not necessarily to say that you shift or change who you are as a person. It's just that you're able to find the drop in the beat and be able to add. You're like that producer that adds just the right ad lib that's like makes it fire. Like now everybody's head bobbing. And so I actually like that about you, but it makes it hard sometimes to pin you down.
Oh yeah, it can't be pinned down.
Yeah, I've seen you be a moving
Can't be
target
pinned
at
down.
times. So yeah. So that's why
You need to be a moving target.
I'm interested to see how this conversation gonna go between me and you, because you know that I myself am the Doc Holiday of my own channel, and my hypocrisy goes very far.
Amen.
I have
Almost caught the
I
spirit just that quick. I don't even go to church. Almost. Boy, the Lord was moving.
I'm
The
gonna take you
Lord
to
was moving.
church. I'm gonna take you to church. Listen, I'm the very first. I'm telling you this. Listen, you heard it here on Critically Drinking. And I would have only said this to you, Rashad. So you know this is a
That's what's up.
world
Exclusive.
premiere. The very first or second or third, you know, I can't be pinned down. Video of season 3, which I'm calling Wireless World Order.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually bring some order to that chaos that's been going on my channel. It's a good time to subscribe.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
It's all
please.
gonna start to make sense now. Yeah. But my very first video is gonna be about how I have changed my views and my opinions on the patriarchy.
And see, that's all I'm here for. Actually, I really do believe my mission in life is to, like I said, pull you out of the darkness. See, I'm gonna say one person at a time. The
Mhm.
whole, patriarchy, black codes, all that stuff. I gotta just pull you out of the darkness, whichever dark it is.
No.
Patriarch
Not my
dark,
black codes. Not my black
black
codes.
dark. It's
Right.
okay.
Right. But
You
the
can be
whole
black,
point,
but not
the whole
live
point,
black.
what? Not live black. That's the purpose of being black. How you be black, not live black. You gotta die black. So how you not live black? That's
No, you
weird.
die yourself and you live as yourself. Be
Okay,
yourself.
so that was the point though. We were all supposed to go somewhere. And if we stayed the same place that we came into this thing at, I think we will have done each other a great disservice through all of this conversation.
Yes, but that's exactly it though. Like again, the black. Let's not stay in the black. That's what we were birthed into. Let's not die there also. But again, I want to leave that for another time.
Yeah, for a little bit later in this podcast.
Maybe it's gonna come back up. It's gonna come back up. But on your channel, you speak a lot about gender
Mhm.
and race
Mm.
and how to come out from under, I'll say, disadvantageous conditions that women will be placed in if left up to others.
Mhm.
Why? One of the things, though, you talk about relationships a lot too, because that's one of the conditions that people try to put you under in the relationship.
Mhm.
The submissive,
Mhm.
the submission, the place of submission, the subordinate position. So that's another one of those disadvantageous conditions or setups where men have the upper hand and are trying to abuse it, coercive, manipulative, whatever. But from that position, from a place of lack, black men don't have a power position in this society. So if we have the upper hand over women, it's leaving black women at the bottom of an extremely tall totem pole.
Right.
And we're being asked to set themselves at the bottom of that for love.
Mhm.
So where I want to start with, what is your conception of love? Your idea, your definition of it. And when you imagine it, what does it look like to you in terms of black relationships?
Well, you see, the blackness is where we have to all begin. I think the issue with, I'm gonna start somewhere, but I'm going, I promise. I think the issue with black men and women being divided in these classes of submission, why it doesn't work for the black love dynamic, is because it cuts into the black power dynamic. So the smallest unit and I'm really gonna try to push this on my next season. The smallest unit of organization, of institution, of nation building is the family. We've always had what they call a postmodern idea of family. So the black family's never been traditional. If you were raised by a single black mother, if you were raised by grandparents, if you were raised, in any other situation other than mom being at home, dad being at work, nuclear family, it would not be in America considered a traditional family. Now I get into these deep spaces with the Pan-Africanist, which I'm not. People think that blackness is monolithic. I'm a black nationalist. I'm not a Pan-Africanist. And thus, this would have been a different conversation if you were a Pan-Africanist, because we've been fighting from the start. I'd probably been bleeped out and kicked off by now. But I'm a black nationalist and not a Pan-Africanist. So when you look at the way the black relationship dynamic, the black family is being expected to conform to American traditional society, that's why it doesn't work for us. That's why it's never worked for us, why it will never work. I think that black love has to be forged out of black power. The powerlessness that you spoke of, that black men feel in society, they don't necessarily have to come home and feel powerless where power is shared. Because in order for you to have the type of black power that white power is, someone has to be subjugated. That's how white power is defined. That's how white power holds on to power. That's how white power has managed to put the black man in that position in the first place. So why turn around and now embrace the loving arms and lie in the bosom? Lie in the bosom. Yella, look, see, you didn't know we agree on
Bosoms,
so many
bountiful
things.
bosoms.
You lay in the bosom of white supremacy and want what the white man has. But here's the thing, the white man doesn't rely on his woman for resources. He doesn't rely on his woman for any of these things. It's the reason why in this country, if I were to marry you, Rashawn, if we were to walk down that aisle to internationals, to international players anthem, if we were to put that on and then double two-step down, I would take your last name. You see what I'm saying? Because whatever power structure that you and I
Can I
would
interrupt you for a
operate.
second? Interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. You wouldn't take anything. I would give you my last name. You don't take anything. Please continue.
You would bestow upon me your last name, because if we were to go back 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, you would take a white man's name. And that would be the way that he would show his dominance over you. I told you, listen, I did not come to play. And you would be whoever Johnson, whoever Smith, whoever Miller, because his way of showing his dominance over you would be to put his name on you.
Wow.
You can tell what country dominated another country by the last names of the people in it. When you go to the Philippines, they got Hispanic last names. Why? They got Spanish last names, not Hispanic. Spanish last names because Spain conquered them. Okay. So here's the thing. You come and you bestow upon me so lovingly, kindly, your last name, because the purpose is to show the property possession. You understand? So I feel like in order for black love, to be the demonstrative love that will actually turn around and show every other group in this country what love is supposed to look like, it has to demonstrate dominion, which is he gave them, both male and female, dominion. Dominion only works in the black culture when it's shared. That's why we're watching Hispanics be the most upwardly mobile group in the middle class, Hispanics and Asians, because they share their homes. They share their economic system is socialism. They will work together hand in hand, making way less than anybody else makes, until They come up together, and then they'll say, okay, we got 100,000 in the bank. We're going to get you a house. We're going to split up, move into those houses. Then when we get enough money, we'll get you a house. You move out and take another family with you. Y'all keep working together and move out and have another house. But see, we can't get there because we don't understand that power is meant to be shared. We are basically black white supremacists, and that's why black love looks the way it does. So to me, black love, what love is, how I define love in how does a person view my personhood. It's not a womanhood, it's not a manhood thing. If we can get personhood right, then we won't have to worry about who's got to be subjugated or delegated to what. If you get home first and you don't cook, I will appreciate it. And if I get home first and I cook, I will appreciate it. But as long as we're worried about who's going to do what, which is what you see in every black organization, the black church, black owned businesses, black entertainment industry, is crabs in a barrel. So that can't be what black love is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do believe we've conflated the tasks of living with like gender roles and dynamics. Like, okay,
Yep.
certain things have to be done to live and maintain, but nobody should have to be assigned that simply because of the genitals they were born with. Like that's silly. That's a
Right.
very remedial thinking. But I agree with you.
Yeah. And people have to understand I have a unique experience as a black woman. I'm in that 42% of black women that got married. And I have been in a non-black marriage, even though it's still a black marriage. You put a black person in it, it's a black marriage.
One drop.
But I'm a hypocrite about that one, because if it's a black man, then it's like, because the power dynamic always swings in favor of the woman. You can watch couples where there's a black man, there's a white woman, and he is not. He's dealing with the same power dynamic regardless, because she's socially going to be seen as his superior regardless. But I've been in a black marriage and I've been in a not so black marriage. So I can honestly say, I've seen what works and doesn't work about each one of those dynamics. And I can honestly say, being in a marriage with a black man, we are great at the art of options, great at the art of dating, great at the art of eternal girlfriends. But what it takes, and on my channel, I had that episode called The Marriage Box that y'all, I promise y'all, like, I be way off in the stratosphere, but it be making sense if you give it a chance. But the tool set that's needed for marriage has nothing to do with what makes you a great boyfriend, nothing to do with what makes great parents. It's a very unique skill set. And if we're going to do marriage that way, if we're going to try it, if we're going to build families on the back of black marriage, then we're going to have to completely deconstruct black society, because it's built top down like that. And the same decay that we see in American society, because white people have capitalized on everybody, burned everything to the ground, won't nobody go to work, can't nobody afford the price of eggs. Like, we watched capitalism fail. And no matter how much capitalism they give us, no matter how many Jay-Z's they give us, no matter how many million Beyonce makes, no matter what they do, they cannot fix it. Y'all say hey to my kid. Hey.
Hello, kid.
Hi, kid. But no
Young
matter
person.
what they do with this capitalistic system, they can't fix it. And it's the same thing with the black community. As long as we have it organized with pimps on top and hoes on the bottom, long as we excel at pimp culture and don't really start to deal with first of all, the insecurities that keep us from being able to self-actualize. If we don't deal with what being black in this country has done to us, like when you ask me why I won't give up the blackness, I won't give the blackness up until the blackness gives me everything it owes me back.
What does blackness owe you?
Blackness owes me the right to be black in any space and still have dignity. It owes me the right to be black in any space because I was black before I was anything else. Everything that we're arguing about was that. When I have these conversations with men about why black men and women can't get along, the first, second, third, and 15th thing they say is about some girl in some hallway in middle school that talked about them because they were black. We've been trying to eradicate the blackness instead of healing it, embracing it. We talk about radical acceptance when it comes to everything except being black.
That's interesting. In the chat, do you all believe a lot of us have a problem with being black? I know myself. I don't. I know what I say, and what I say is going to sound like it comes from a place of somebody that's wounded by blackness, so they run from it. But for me, it's embracing. I've decided to just embrace my personhood, as you said. My personhood is more important. See, my personhood owes me something, but I owe something to my personhood. That's the relationship that I'm forging. My blackness is a thing, a construct that people see and treat me off of. It owes me nothing because it is nothing other than somebody's perception. It does not grant me a longer or shorter life of its own accord. I don't get superpowers. Also, don't get lesser powers. It's a social thing. So, except, okay, I do get vitamin D deficiency in the winter, and I do get
Yeah, I was
sun
about to
resistance
say
in the summer.
if a cop shoots you, then blackness could potentially take your life prematurely. But
the blackness doesn't take my life. The cop does. The
okay,
blackness does nothing to me. That
okay,
person of low character, that person of low courage, that fearful coward who
mm-hmm,
uses a gun to push power on another person,
mm-hmm,
that took my life.
mm-hmm.
But the blackness did nothing to me, and I mean, this is my opinion, and the blackness owes me nothing either. But I hear what you're saying. I like the way you phrase it too. It's very
Well,
poetic.
you know that they on your live podcast, where you guys were in unison about your feelings about the blackness. I said that day. I said I'm not being heard the way I'm saying it. Like I'm not being felt for where I'm coming from. Because as I said, blackness is not monolithic. The same way I got to sit in a room with Pan-Africanists, because back in the 1970s, when you go back to some of these black ink on white paper panel discussions amongst black people at that time who were trying to build a black nation, when they didn't have the ability to integrate into whiteness, when they couldn't escape blackness and they had to deal with black communities and black issues and black problems and black marriage and black feet and black toenails, they had to sit in those rooms and figure it out and hash it out. They had Black Panthers and they had, they had to solve black problems with black solutions. Mhm. So those people would say that you had black Christian nationalists, you had African spiritualists and Pan-Africanists, you had integrationists, you had black people who were saying that the only answer for us to have freedom in this country is for us to integrate deeper into white society. Hang on for a second.
Not handle your business.
No. Here's the thing. I got something for you. I promised you flowers. They can see you.
That was even better. The cam off, but the live mic, the hot mic moment. I love it. I love it. I love it. Destruction, violence, etc. We couldn't do anything because it would be destroyed. So yes, it took me years to accept that. But since she mentioned personhood, I really like that.
Yeah, and here's the thing, going back to what you said about personhood, because you spoke about your personhood and you said your blackness has nothing to do with your personhood. So your personhood is comprised of a lot of things. Like, for instance, I could never go back and be born in the 1950s because I was born in 1981, because we both got these 81s. And after I talked all that trash about the 78s and them knee replacements, baby, I think I tore my groin muscle the other day. And I was like, you know what? You deserve this. Anyway, but I want to take you outside of yourself, outside of what you just said about the blackness, and
Okay.
think about this. right? So you are a 42-year-old man. How old are you now?
Just suffice it to say that I'm your senior, and you
All
should
right. So I am
pay deference.
41.
I'm 43. 43.
All right. I am 41. And Rashawn, you are we're cut from the
43.
same
Yeah.
cloth. Yeah.
You think so?
Uh in that we were both born in, this late 70s, 80s. Sure.
Gotcha.
We
Gotcha.
both
Gotcha.
have scars. We both drank out of water spigots, and we're different.
Lead paint.
Okay. Lead paint, yeah. What's that? Um we could have ate the Tide Pods. We could have ate them. We would have been fine, you know? We're tough. We're different. We see the world totally different because we lived at the rise of the machines, if you will. Right? So you talk to kids on that side of it, and you're like, oh my God. And then you talk to boomers, and you're like, oh my God. Like no one understands us like we understand each other. So you're 43. Now you look about 14
Here
and a
we
half.
go. Here we
14
go.
and
Here
a
we
half,
go. I knew the slander was coming.
you know, you
I knew the
know,
slander was coming.
you're giving prepubescent, you know?
You know what? You know what? It has been a pleasure, everybody. We are getting ready to head out. It's been. I hope you have a good evening. Yeah, man. Y'all.
Listen, I'm going somewhere. And this is what I do. I take you on a journey. Yeah, the paint chips, I'm telling you. We are in our 40s. And although you could fit seamlessly into a group of 20-year-olds, no one would question your presence there. No one would be like, hey, who's this old guy hanging out with us? You are nonetheless an old guy. You are nonetheless an old guy. They're going to be talking about stuff that's going on TikTok, and you're going to be like, what?
What?
You're an old guy. You see the world differently. If you were to come in here and let me know that you had a 19-year-old girlfriend, I'd look at you different because I'd be like, what do y'all have in common?
She's 20, but go ahead.
See, I don't have the button. I don't have the button to tell you good night. But my point of what I'm saying is Rashawn is in timeout, you guys. He'll be back with us. But here's the thing.
Mhm.
If you had a 20-year-old girlfriend, that age gap gonna be there. It doesn't matter if you both look like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you both look the same age. You understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this, everyone is about to learn, is the diabolical nature of the wireless woman, because what I just said to you about your age is the same as the blackness. When I put you in the aquarium with the other fish, and you're still a fish, you're a person, your personhood matters. You like anime, whatever you like, whoever you are, whatever these things are, you got every right to express that, but you're still going to express that as a black fish. You're not going to be a goldfish. You're not going to be a blue fish. You're going to be a black fish. And here's the thing: out in the wide open, into the great wide open, in the great wide open scheme of things, in a place where everybody's free, that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. But when you come into a system where all of the black fish have been asked to start their race 50 meters behind everybody else, you cannot say this has no effect on the outcome. And I say this as a sociology major. I got my statistics test tomorrow. So I'm actually studying this.
Good
And
luck.
I say this as someone in finances, because the main mission of the wireless woman is a financial one. I care about family because I know the effect that it has on the finances of Black people. I care about the Blackness because I understand economically what it's doing to us. And as long as we are fighting each other over the scraps that are left behind in society, we are going to always have classism, sexism, ageism. All these things are going to be magnified in our community. That's why when you listen to the country station, you hear a certain story about what their culture is. But then when you turn on the, urban radio station, you're hearing a whole totally different conversation about what's going on in our culture and in our society, because all of these isms on your ism show get magnified in the Black community because of this one thing, which is that they took all the Black fish, put them in the bag, put them in a separate tank, and said, okay, you can't play in any of our reindeer games. So I didn't make the blackness what the blackness is, but I have been subject to the blackness and will be for the rest of my life. So now it becomes, what did the blackness give me? What does the blackness define about me and my personhood that other people don't have? What do they need from the blackness that they made it such a big deal?
And what's that answer?
Well,
What do
that
they need from
answer, the answer is one for us to find out, but they need excellence. They need whole and complete genetic chromosomes. Okay. Okay. People act like there's no such thing as Cro-Magnon man. I'm a Christian who believes in evolution. Where do they do that at? And there were these things called Neanderthals. And all people have about 4% Neanderthal DNA. And if you want to know why the Neanderthals died off and the Homo sapiens didn't, you'd have to understand eugenics. And if you go back to the basis of why racism in America became a thing, it was on the basis of Charles Darwin and eugenics. You want to understand why what happened in Nazi Germany happened? Eugenics. That's where race theory is coming from. And that's the conversation that they don't really want to have. There's excellence built into blackness. Black excellence. Everything that we see was built by Black hands, Black engineering, Black farmers, Black machinists, Black smiths, Black on 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 Black. And there is an excellence in what it is to be Black. And when we lose that, the only thing that happens is the same thing that happens when women become masculine. It allows room for men to move in the feminine space. When Black people become white people, it leaves room for white people to move in the Black space. And then your NBA, rookie season is all biracials and white men. And then y'all are looking like, how did that happen? Eugenics. Eugenics. How did Brazilians become blue-eyed with red hair and blonde hair? Eugenics. They used to look like me, and then one day they didn't. Jews used to look like me, and then one day they didn't. And now we're having these wars amongst Black people that biracial is the new Black, because I watched what is it? Fast and Furious 99? Right. Which one was the last one? Fast and Furious 2006?
Yeah, it was at least, it was about that.
And you remember they had 2 white women, then they had a Hispanic woman, then they had the Asian woman, because they had to have one of every kind. And then they had the little smart girl that could do all the computer stuff. And people were like, that was the Black girl. And I was like, nah. They was like, no, she was the Black. She's Black. And I was like, nah, because it's not. She looked just like the Hispanic chick. They were like, nah, she's the Black one. And then at the end of the movie, she came out. She had like the curly hair and stuff. I was like, oh, she's the Black one. So as long as they can represent Blackness that way, that's Black too. So my point in what I'm saying is, what they want from the Blackness is what we've never embraced about the Blackness. Because we just gave it to them. We just gave it to them like we give them our money, like we give them our image, so they can take it out and make it what they want it to be. They can get butt fillers and lip fillers and look like us and take it over. Mm-hmm. Like we do with our neighborhoods. They come in and gentrify our neighborhoods. They come in, they be like, you know what? This house gonna fall down around you anyway. It's only worth about $12. I'll give you $2,000. Who's not gonna take that deal? So because I see it, because I work in the belly of capitalism, because I see the game and how it goes, we trying to get shows. Anyway, because I see it, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't know. I just woke up to the Blackness like 2.5 years ago. If you had talked to me in 2008, because I grew up with white people, my next door neighbors flew a Confederate flag. People think I'm like ultra pro Black. But I had one of them non-white, non-Black names for 17 years. My great-grandmother was a white woman that passed for Black so that she could marry my great-grandfather. So I myself am part white.
Got you.
And my grandmother, when I asked her about passing for black, like, why would you pass for black? You got white privilege. And she said that. She said, I've seen the atrocities of white people and what white people can do. These same white folks, they're saying, listen, I grew up racist. I'm trying to reject that. I'm trying to get rid of that. They came from inside of the thing that we want to embrace. They know even better than we do. They've sat around them tables and heard words and terms and conversations. Some of them got grandparents that went to picnics, and we know what a picnic is. Some of them have grandparents who lynched people, who they seen it firsthand. They seen the pictures. Okay, we see Emmett Till like that was just one, like that was just one person. So no, I'm not going to give up the blackness because we won our freedom by being nonviolent people. We trusted them. We believed them when they told us they would give us equality with them in exchange for our peace.
I think I understand better now. I think I understand better now. See, you've made blackness your ally. See, you merely adopted the black. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man, but by then it was nothing but blinding. See, you came to it too late. It's new to you. It has novelty. You haven't worn it long enough. It's a costume for you. I get it.
You trying to call me Batman?
I get your zeal now. I get your zeal. I get it. That's why I see now.
Yes, I turned to the blackness as a refuge. As a refuge. And as a refuge, I became the Dark Knight, so I wouldn't have to be a white one. And like I said, I'm completely engulfed.
Can't stand you, Brett.
Brett is now Bane. I'm trying to tell you. That was beautiful. I believe in Bane. Magneto was right. I say that on my channel all the time. Magneto is right. Bane, Magneto, Thanos, bring it on. A lot of therapy, a lot of healing. Because I'm gonna tell you something, and you heard me say it that day on your live. I didn't even know I was black till I went to HBCU. I've never been treated worse in life by people more so than my own people. I've never seen the type of debauchery anywhere else, but I'm still not going to abandon blackness though.
I get it. I just want you to take this visual symbolism on your screen. See, the blackness doesn't go anywhere. It's right there with you. You just don't wear it. See, it's close. You can reach out and touch it. You can move and manipulate it. But you can turn around and face forward and progress.
So I have a question. You said the blackness doesn't go anywhere and that you don't have to wear it. And I love that. I respect that. Mm-hmm. But what do you do with it when you take it off? Where do you store
I don't
your
wear
blackness?
It's just hanging here.
Okay.
It's hanging there the entire time.
Okay.
Everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. If you see me, you see the blackness. If you see me, you see the blackness. Yes. But what I don't do,
is lead with the blackness.
I don't lead with the blackness, and I don't let that curtain shroud my mind. Yeah. It cannot shroud your mind.
What the funk? What the funk? I love that comment because I'm telling you, we do the most injury. We do the most insult to each other.
Absolutely.
Like my hypocrisy only goes so far. So I ain't gonna cape for the blackness. I watched the Mike Tyson miniseries. Did you watch it, Rashawn?
Nah, I did not.
It was super, super good. And I know Mike Tyson told us not to watch it. I did, though. It was like a really bad caricature of him, but the writing, though, was really good. And at the end of watching Mike Tyson ruin his own life, what he said... At the end of watching Mike Tyson do what we're currently watching Kanye West do, he said that about himself. He said, I had to realize that who I am is not just the bad things, Not just the good things, it's both. You know, it's the culmination of those things. My bad things help me to understand the things I need to work on so I could do good things. You know, my goodness is magnified by the fact that I've done all these horrible things, because now when I reach out and, you know, I get therapy and I work on myself and I do good things, it's against the backdrop of being, you know, this horrible person. So for me, it isn't that the because it was built off his one man show. And Mike Tyson has said some really super insightful things to be the same guy that bit somebody's ear off. What I've learned about the blackness is that I don't have to take it off and put it back there. I also don't have to, you know, wear it, you know. I don't have to lead with it. I don't have to oppress and oppose other people with it. But I do have to integrate it. It's the same conversation y'all had about the shadow self. I'm not who I am separate from it. There's a certain amount of my
Interesting.
personhood. It's like being a woman. There's a certain amount of my personhood that can only be explained through the lens of the blackness. There's a certain amount of my personhood that can only be explained through the lens of a woman. Like, y'all dudes be right like hell, but I go against my own best interest.
Mm-hmm.
When I empower that, and when I say that, I have to remain in feminine energy and keep a feminine perspective. I would love to identify with men. I've done that before because, you know, in the one podcast you had, we were talking about law enforcement. I was law enforcement. And once you put on them blues or them browns or them grays, whatever your division wears, you lose your personhood. Not only do we lose it, but people lose their personhood because we're cops, they're civilians. There's no more, there's a dividing line between us and them. And they see us a certain way and we have to see them a certain way, because when you lower your guard as a cop and see a person as a person and empathize and sympathize, and then they pull out a gun and shoot you, you got to be vigilant. But here's the thing, where's the line? Where's the line? And it's the same thing with the blackness. I'm not going to take it off to embrace something else. I'm going to embrace them both. But whatever it is that's going on over here has to accept that. Like when I walked away from being a cop, I walked away from being a cop because I wasn't going to give up my compassion. And I couldn't find, no matter how I searched, a line that would allow me to be human and RoboCop at the same time. And I tried until I found I was in a crisis of conscience. And it was at that point that the uniform comes first while it's on. When it's off, we carry those badges with us. Do you know how many speeding tickets I got out of? Do you know how much fuck shit I did in Atlanta? And I got out of it because I had a badge. Now that is male privilege, baby. That is privilege, baby. I wasn't a woman. I wasn't black. I was a cop. And that allowed me access to so much privilege that once I take that uniform off and put that badge down, I'm denied. And so it was in a moment of watching my officers beat up a black boy that I know didn't understand what was happening to him. And then coming back in the situation and say, you're blue before you're black. That I had to decide, was I going to be blue or was I going to be black? Because they didn't give me the option to be both. And that's what I find about being a black woman. Male privilege comes in on black men and allows y'all access to certain amounts of privilege that a black woman is going to be denied. Intersectionality. I said this on one of my posts and people highly ignored it. But what I said was the only people who can speak for what oppression is, what it looks like, is black women. It is the hatred of the image of the black woman that forms the basis for all hate, for all isms. Racism, black women are black. Sexism, black women are women. Colorism, you can't get dark people without black women. Even dark-skinned men who are hated, they're hated because they are the children of dark black women. Period. That's the only way you can get one. If you put a black man with a white woman, you're not going to get Morris Chestnut. You're not going to get Blair Underwood. You're not gonna get who the little fine, sexy one that be in the snowfall. I'm sorry.
Jesus
I'm sorry.
Christ.
That's where I become like
Damson Idris.
that. That's where I become that's that cougar energy. But anyway,
Yeah,
I continue on.
objectification.
I continue
Yeah.
on. When you go into texturism, it's nappy hair on a black woman. Even black men who have nappy hair, they deal with texturism, but they don't deal with sexism. They've gotten out somewhere if they're a man. And when you deal with featureism, you know how many guys told me you cute to be dark skinned? You got Eurocentric features, because I do, because my great grandma's white. They said you don't look like silly. You don't look like Oprah Winfrey. You know, I can't be with you because you dark, but you're cute though. So here's the thing, all of the isms, when you deal with the LGBTQIA plus infinity squared to the third power community, when you look at trans men, what are they? They're women. When you look at the gay men, they are giving off the image of black womanhood. That's what you see. That's what you're seeing is black womanhood on these people. And so it's the hate of black women that forms every ism that we see. So when we, as black women who can't escape oppression under the guise of anything, because trust me, I talk to rich black men all the time. They think they're white men now because they thought that blackness was a product of poverty, not race. And once you got money, baby, Asians fuck with you, Hispanics, for everybody on your team when you have money. And so all these black male athletes that we saw got to money long before black women did, because what was black women gonna do? we're not the greatest rappers. We're not the greatest athletes. The women in the WNBA don't make millions, never will. We never had access out of this class of blackness, not out of this one. So for us who have been left behind in the blackness, it means something totally else, because black men come from us. We are the mothers of blackness and therefore the largest victim of racism, because they want black men out of our wombs. They don't even want to deal with this blackness no more. That's why it's like, just get you a white woman, black men. Just get you a white woman. Help us wash the black out. And now we're going to get you to get a white woman, talk trash about a black woman, make everybody hate the black woman so that we never get any more black kids out of them. So it's like I said, I would love to have some air of privilege. I done got out of blackness several times. I got out of blackness by having a non-black husband, having a white husband, having a husband with white skin, being a cop. I done had tons of opportunities to turn my back on being black. Because being black only matters when somebody get oppressed. Then they want us marching. Then they want us to, then they want us all to vote Democratic. Then they want us all. But then that's us treating each other like objects. That's us denying the personhood, because we were all black before Tyree Nichols. We were all black before George Floyd with the white girlfriend. We were all black before all that stuff happened. So why now all of a sudden we got to come together and be black? So that's all. I just decided to be black first. Just be proactively black, just in case my blackness is needed for something, just in case. I had a black boy walk right past here. And black men love to tell me I hate black men. Tell me how, though. Tell me how, though.
You ain't just do the I got a black child thing and say I don't mind. You ain't just pull that, did you?
I did, just like how white people have black friends. No, but my point in what I'm saying is I got to teach him something about who he is as a man. When the world tells him he's a black man, if I've denied mine, how can he ever trust my assessment of what he is as a person? What I'm saying is I'm forming someone's personhood. And yes, the blackness has limitations, but the blackness also has greatness. Do you know how great black relationships would be if we embrace blackness? Do you know how we could build in these communities? I met a guy, he was from Argentina. He was from Argentina with white skin. And we were talking about learning Spanish, and I was like, man, I need to learn Spanish. You know, yo necesito hablo. You know, yo entiendo, pero no hablo. You know, I get y'all. I need some help. And we were talking about it, and he was like, you know, we teach you Spanish. We love Black people. We want you to embrace our culture. Yeah, we teach you. You know, let me take your number. I teach you. And so me and my friend were talking because she was saying, you know, the Mexicans in this area, that's true. That's true. That's true, Bree. The Blackness can be, like I said, it's for sale. It can be merchandised. It can be capitalized. So I said I need to learn the Spanish. She said, you know, you can, because they're the same way. They give you their culture too. They'd be like, hey. And we were talking about the Mexicans. We were like, you know, they're not as willing to be that way, because, you know, he was saying, why haven't you learned it? You know, why haven't you, you know, there's such a large population. I was in North Carolina, and we were like, but here it's Mexicans. It's not Puerto Ricans. It's not Dominicans like it is in New York, because he was saying he had come from New York. We were like, our Hispanics, they're not as friendly. You know, they're not. And he said, you know what? You're right. He said, because I worked on a job where there were a lot of Mexicans, and he said it took them 2 years before they spoke to me. And he Hispanic too. He hablo. He Hispanic too. But for them, it's culture. It's not race. He didn't come from where they came from. And even though they share the same language, share the same skin tone, share the same, you know, overarching ethnicity, because they Hispanics. No matter if they Mexican, Honduran, Argentinian, they Hispanics. And you would think they would, you know, like embrace him because he Hispanic too. And he said the white people would talk to him and the Mexicans wouldn't. So my point in what I'm saying is, look at what they managed to do on their own, not even speaking the language, not sharing the culture. They came to this country and they did not amalgamate. They didn't integrate. They didn't. And now we're watching the same people who don't even have citizenship, who build all this and then get locked up in prisons. Immigration will deport them. And they got to leave their house, their kids, everything here. And they're still willing to work that hard to build something for themselves on the basis of their culture. I see the same thing with Asian people, Indians. They'll come in with $160,000 and buy a house in cash, and it's 8 of them in the house together. So that's all I'm saying. I think the Blackness could profit us if we were to actually embrace it the right way. Oh yeah. I was Hispanic for baby. I had one of them Mexican Hispanics, and the type of oppression he went through from other groups of Hispanics, we think it's just us, but no.
Right, which goes to my point. The Blackness is not the thing; it's the culture. Because human nature, like somebody who's studying sociology, people are people all over.
Right.
And they'll treat you based on feature, color, all the different things anywhere you go.
True.
In Japan, less fair-skinned women are getting treated lesser than.
There you go.
So it's not for me, it's not the Blackness.
Right.
It's human nature and how we treat with difference. Like the blue-eye, brown-eye, people that were already on the same crew. You just tell them that they have a difference and separate them. Like just on an experimental level, you know you're taking part in something. Blue eyes over here, brown eyes over here, and they start to treat people like trash. Stanford prison experiment.
Yep.
All you have to do is identify any difference at all, no matter how small it is. In my family, my mother called my eldest sister. She was the mustard baby. My nephew.
She was yellow, like yellow.
He was light bright. My nephew was light bright. My little sister was the red bone, and then me, I'm like mid. I'm mid. So we all had different colors and got caught out.
You're pretty pale there. You're pale. You're pretty pale there, sir.
And that's colorism, because I'm not pale. It's the light reflected off of my face. I have oily skin, oily, dry skin. It's the weirdest thing. But I'm not even pale. I'm right in the middle. I'm not what they call high yellow. I'm not beige. I'm not a red bone. I'm actually darker than that if you saw me in person. But I'm also not dark brown. I'm not chocolate. I'm right in the middle. I'm right in the middle, nicely tucked in the middle, which is fine. But I want to talk about being tucked in the middle again, because you talked about You talked about the biraciality and it not being black. But I also wanted, like you said, the hypocrisy is strong in this one. You said you said that's not black, and then they rolled out the hair. You was like, oh, that's what they see as black.
I said an expression, the expression of blackness. Blackness is not monolithic. I have a biracial daughter.
Mhm.
And I did an episode on my channel where my daughter talked very candidly with me about how she felt that I discount her blackness. She gave me an explanation and an exposition of what the blackness means for her.
There
And
you go.
we talked about the difference between black mom biracials and white mom biracials.
Mhm.
So even amongst her group, they're not monolithic because the black mom biracials have a totally different experience
Yeah.
of what blackness is than white mom biracials do. But what I'm saying is they cannot express, they cannot speak to and convey, and I promise I'm going somewhere. I promise, just give me 1 minute. They cannot convey the complete total black experience because they've only experienced it in part. That does not invalidate their black experience because their experience is black as well. But their black experience is not the culmination of blackness. And the reason why I say that, the hypocrisy is strong in this one. Yes, 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 yes. But
The
the reason
farce is
why I say
strong in
this,
this one.
the forces, listen, I embraced the dark side of the force a long time ago. Listen. But the reason why I say that is because the liberation of all people, those dark skinned Asians that you were just talking about, that you brought up, is the embracing of the black woman. Like I said, until the black woman has equality with black men, with white women, with white people, with Asian women and Hispanic women, then we don't see the disappearance of these isms. You see what I'm saying? Because if you're not taking out your issue with black women on a dark skinned Asian woman, then we wouldn't see that type of dynamic. We wouldn't see caste systems in India that are based on colorism because it's really coming out of dark women. We're the only ones who are able to produce dark children. So once people start to love and embrace, because you asked me about the mission statement, why I'm in charge of the girls over on my channel, until people start to love and embrace the full gambit of what black womanhood is, because we're being attacked on all sides. On all sides, you're masculine, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Why can't you be more like this, like this, like that? We're the ones that are being asked more than any other group of people to conform. And so that's why I'm saying if we conform, go up in that group, everybody else will be able to continue the oppression of all other people because it's coming out of their hate of us. It was funny to me when I saw how you did our thumbnail and you made it a versus because it really is black women versus everybody else. And we could give it up. We could give up the fight and put it down. That's actually what I urge black women to do on my channel is let them miss us. I put the Hancock movie where Will Smith is Hancock and he's chaotic and people don't want his help. They like, he like, I'm trying to help. They're like, we don't want your help because you don't help the way we like help. And so he goes into the little prison system and the guy is coming to see him every day. I forget what the dude name is, but you know who I'm talking about. He the dude from
Yeah.
the Ozark. You know what I'm talking about. And he
Yeah,
keeps
Jason
telling
Bateman.
them,
I don't know his character
Jason
name.
Bateman, that's him. That's who I wanted. I wanted his real name, his government. He
Gotcha.
comes in day after day. He's telling them, he's getting them right. You know, he's telling them, he said, this is for when they call. This is for when they call. This is for when they call. Because there's something encoded in the mitochondrial DNA of the black woman that out of it, every other group, race, tongue, nation, ethnicity of people have been created. And so you can hate on it, crap on it, shit on it, all you want to. Eventually, they're going to need us. And so I have been talking to my own demographic of women about who we are, understanding what we've been endowed with, so that when they call for us, we will be ready. Because if you're watching what's actually happening with black women, yes, I know they're baby mamas. Yes, I know they was on crack in the 80s. They was on welfare in the 70s and kicked the black men out the home. We're trash and we're being trash and we're about to trash and just trash, trash, trash. And it's been that. I've never heard any other narrative. I had a sister that died hooked on crack. So it ain't like I don't know. I seen it all down in the ghetto in the Black community. But what I've also seen is they said to us, you're uneducated. Droves of Black women went out and got educations. Then they said, we don't care about your degrees. Okay. They said, y'all are ghetto and you're on welfare. Then Black women started becoming entrepreneurs and owning their own business. And then Black men said, we don't care about your money. Right? Right? I mean, we can't win. We can't win. It doesn't matter what we do to bring. Now we're going to therapy and all that stuff. And people are like, that therapy ain't making you better. But we're in that facility. We're in that training facility, becoming better versions of ourselves, because on my channel, I say the Black woman is God. And we've been waiting for our time to be revealed in that element of the Godhead so that we can bring balance to it. The things that you all say about men, I listen to you, Rashawn. That's why I can always speak to what you said exactly, because you talked about men being afraid to be men and be who they are because there's an imbalance somewhere, right? So if women are getting good at being men and men are scared of being able to be men, and the women then took their place and then become women, let us be God then. Let us have our own place. Same thing I say about Black people. Stop trying to make Black people white people. Let us be Black. Stop making us compete to have a place. Let us just be Black and have a place. Let us just be women and have a place in the Godhead. Let the Black woman be God and see what she does. There's nothing that proves what a person really believes inside about who they are like authority. I know. Like I said, I was a cop. I had the choice time and time again to do, fuck shit to people. Like, people be talking about that and they're like, not all cops are bad. They're not, but the system is corrupt. All the way down to the core. I've seen them playing drugs on people. I've seen them put guns on people. I've seen them stack charges on people just to make sure some of them can stick. And they will tell you it's the right thing to do, because they'll say, we spend all this time on these cases and the judges just throw them right out. These judges put these people right back out on the street if I don't do this, if I don't do that. So I've seen these systems fail. Everybody thinks I'm against the Black man, or I'm against this particular man in particular because of what he said. I'm not. I'm against the system that creates oppression, because when oppression rolls downhill, it stops at me. If I had any escape into any privilege, like I talked on my channel about female privilege.
Yeah.
There is some privilege in being a female. I ain't gonna lie. Especially in the digital age, the world has given us access to a certain thing. But now we gotta wait and see what we actually do with it. What becomes of us as a result of it. Because they said in The Birth of a Nation, if they gave Black people freedom, that we would be lazy, that we would be violent, that we would be destructive, that we would turn against our own race and culture, that we couldn't be trusted. Now the question is, were they right or were they wrong? But see, they let us do it though. They gave us our freedom. So whatever we have become now, and you say this all the time, Rashawn, has been our choice. And that's all I want. I want that same thing for Black women. Bree, you asked the question. You said, what does the Black woman as God mean?
Before we go to that,
it's
let me get something in. You was flowing. I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted you to get your thoughts out. But I want to point out something, because I know you didn't catch the stream from the beginning earlier, but I've been listening. I have watched and waited from the mountains. And what I see is that everything you said has been about Black woman as perpetual victim. In other words, that's what the term I used earlier was plight supremacy. The Black woman gets it the worst. The Black woman has the intersectionality problem. We get it. We are the symbol of oppression. Everybody hates us. So somewhere there's some internalized plight supremacy here, where your plight is the supreme one. Then you're going to want to hold somebody accountable for that. As opposed, like I said, as opposed to the internal choices. there's going to be somebody that gets big bad wolfed. There's going to be somebody to point to. So what you've done is kind of flip that on its head. The black woman has to be elevated, which is still like, give me privilege. Give me privilege. Not I'm going to earn privilege. Not I'm going to sit in my humanity. I'm just going to be I don't need to be a god. I just need to be a woman. And I'm not going to allow somebody else to define my blackness or my womanhood for me. I'm just going to be a fully articulated and realized human being that doesn't need to be pedestalized to this place of godhood to feel affirmed. That's what I mean by my personhood. I don't need anybody to elevate me. I don't need to be a god. I don't need to be a king. My godhood or kingship rests in me residing in my personhood. That's where any divinity will be found. If I can't find the divinity in my humanity, then it's not there. If I need to keep telling everybody I'm a man, that thing. So my thing, and I hear you, but I hear you also divorcing yourself from the black man at the very same time. All of your things separate the black woman and her plight, which the black man is also sharing the exact same plight, just reversed in mirror image, because we have all the same problems. And I would say black women have privilege. The same way you said, men have privilege. There are spaces that they'll allow black women that they don't allow black men because they're a threat. So, I mean, there are a lot of mirror images, mirror reversal power dynamics. But instead of seeing the humanity in the other person, the lie to me paradox. Don't you see that I'm hurting too? And you want to come home and take it out on me because you've been there getting abused all day and you want to come home and mistreat me out of your pain? No, lie to me. Put on the same performance for me. And then the same thing. Why would you want me to lie to you after I've had to lie all day to somebody else? So it's still the thing. We're still doing the thing where we're asking of each other what's unfair because we're both experiencing the same type of oppression. We still have that curtain hanging. And until we can divorce ourselves mentally from the shackle of that, because being born into that is what keeps your mind bound. That's the slavery. That's the enslavement there, because that's what was handed to you. You just have brown skin.
Right.
You just have brown skin. That's all it is.
Very,
But
very.
because somebody else has made you something different in your own mind because of your brown skin. Now that's unfair. That's unjust. But it's not okay to bring that to me and tell me I have to treat you differently or treat myself differently because we have brown skin, because people that don't have brown skin treat you that way. Don't bring that baggage from them everywhere you go. When you're here, you can unpack it because I see your humanity.
Right.
So that baggage can be left. Now, if you need to pick up that baggage when you're going outside, when you go back to the boss, cool. I'm with you. You need to carry that to carry a certain energy in the world. But when you should be able, when you come back to the black man, and the black man the same when he comes back to the black woman, to be able to sit that's the place you should be able to sit that burden down, because that's what it is. In society, when you keep saying we're black and it's always with us, we're talking about the burden that comes from racism. You talk about the excellence, but that's inherent. That's just a part of who you are. Either you're excellent or you're not, because there's some trash black people. Just trash. Trash. Same way there are trash white people. Just trash. But it's not because of skin. It's because of character. It's because of who they are, how they were formed, who abused them, neglected them, all that stuff. So I think, again, for me, this is my opinion. If we could psychologically remove ourselves out of the trappings of blackness and gender and just be now your person is going to be informed by your experience of blackness, by your experience of womanhood, mind of manhood. It's going to be informed, but that should not be its identity.
Right.
But I'll let you jump back in.
I'll let you jump back in. Yeah, because I love conversations like this, because my goal isn't to be right. My goal is to share the other side. So when you share yours, when I share mine, then other people get to decide. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If I agree with you, then it's like, okay, well, so let me take two things from what you said, because mostly all of it I actually agree with. But one is going back to the very beginning of what we said, because we will do what we can to not be hypocritical. You said that the power has to be shared. It's just like I said that. So here's the thing. It's just like what you said. Why is this a dynamic in between us? Why can't we come home and take that off? If I knew, I think we would have resolved that by now. How did we get here if it was just that simple? So my thing is, I'm not defining the issue by the solutions. I'm defining the issue by the problem so that we can resolve problems. It's the same thing that just happens like, I've been married, like I said, most of my adult life. And a man will see the problem differently than his wife sees the problem. And then we have these discussions about what I see as being the problem. You tell me what you see as being the problem. And as long as we don't see the problem the same, we never find a solution. And then you'll say, we talked about that yesterday. Like, I don't want to deal with that right now. Why are you still upset about that? Because we never failed to identify what the actual problem was. So when you say that about how it shouldn't be about any of those things, I agree. So for that reason, because of personhood, because we fought all of these isms and oppressions outside the door, then why can't we come here and just be equals? Like you said, don't bring all of that over here to me. Well, don't bring all of that over here to me. I don't care what Becky is doing. I don't care why she's a better, option for men. I don't care what you got stamped on your passport. I don't like. Okay. We are free as individuals to self-actualize however we see fit. If you are a high value man who says that I want a woman of a certain caliber, I want to be a traditional man, and therefore I want to have a traditional woman, then why did skin tone come into why are we talking about skin tone? Why are we talking about race? Why are we talking about any of these things? But it's like I said, in every other race, ethnicity, and culture, because they've dealt with the issues of their culture, because they deal with the issues of their race, they don't have to bring that out into the environment. This isn't something that's coming from the environment into our homes. This is something that's coming from our interactions with each other and being broadcast out into the world. So if we're going to deal with it on the smallest issue, it's proximity. Like when we talk about black on black crime, why do so many black people kill other black people? Because they live around other black people.
Hey, pause real quick. We say that, but here's the problem. I live around a lot of black people. I don't kill anybody. So it's not.
Most of them don't either. Most of them don't either, because here's the thing: most white people are killed by white people.
Exactly, but it's not like I'm just trying to challenge the terminology that we use so frequently that it becomes a cliche that we don't challenge.
Right, but see, black on black crime is a term, not white on white crime. Way more white men kill their whole entire family. Like you talking about one that we talking about Ray killed Pookie, like it's 1-on-1. They'll go kill the whole high school. So my whole entire point is, and I'm not saying it like that because then somebody will get offended. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying amongst different cultures, the issues look different, but that has nothing to do with us. We could never ever sit here and have a whole entire conversation about how to stop that dynamic from happening in the white race, but they do that with black people all the time. How can we cut back on the war on drugs? COINTELPRO. Like, why were you even in our neighborhoods worried about us and what we were doing in the first place? So my only thing that I'm saying is that this is, for us, this is a black problem. This is a black issue. And I don't want to turn a deaf eye to it. I just want to deal with it. And I think that's just the difference in general between men and women. And when you ask that question about why does the black woman need this affirmation? Why does the black woman need to be anything other than just who she is? She went and got her degree anyway. She went and got her house anyway. She went and got her, 6-figure paying job anyway. We were the last people to do it. And whenever somebody becomes the first anything, we laud them for that accomplishment. The first black astronaut, the first this. I'm not necessarily saying I know, Silver, you see what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily saying that Black women need to be elevated above other groups of people. What I'm saying is, in order for us to share, in order for us to get rid of this whole entire argument that you just made, that I agree with, they have to be elevated to be equal. They have to be acknowledged. We can't sit around and talk about all the baby mamas that are ruining the Black community and never have a conversation, never come together as a community and celebrate that groups of women who were crack whores raised children, male and female, that are graduates, that are homeowners, that these things happened in spite of it. That whole generations of men that walked out on children, like these were Black problems. These are real Black problems. When we get on panels, we point it out to each other and point those fingers at each other. So it's real. It's a real problem. But we still managed as a group of people to continue through slavery, to continue through crack, to continue through all of these things and do great things. And that's all I'm saying, is that we've done those things on the back. One thing we never talk about is we never talk about Big Mama anymore. I saw it in my own family when my grandmother died. They just argue and fight with each other now. Nobody ever even remembers the days when we would all meet at her house. And if somebody had a problem with somebody and she heard about it, you was coming to Big Mama's house and she was going to make y'all sit down and discuss it and talk it out. And that's the generation of women that I'm trying to raise again. Women who do cook, women who do listen, women who counsel. But you have to have a matrilineal society of women who are connected to each other. You know, my grandmother made me talk to my mom when me and her had problems. My mom makes me talk to my kids when we have problems. These are the ones who are at the house. So why would we not deal with these women and give these women their flowers? Because they are the ones that everybody's talking about, because they were there. And I'm going to say this and I'm done. This is just a side note. I read my daughter's journal. Because I told you, me and her had the episode, and she was like, Mom, I just feel like you understand me, because like you think like I'm, a lot of these things I learned about myself through therapy and as a product of being a parent, because you become God in a way when you're a parent, because you have these little versions of yourself and you have to see yourself in it, because they're expressing back to you, and you're trying to fix it in you while you're watching it in them. But you're also trying to fix it for them because you don't want them to be like you. You want them to be better. You want to improve upon the design with these other little people. So she says to me, she talks to me a lot about feeling misunderstood by me. And I read her journal, and she talked about having mommy issues. And I was like, ain't this a bitch? Because in my mind, I'm like, you only got issues with me because I'm here. There's a person that does way more fuck shit than I do. But you don't see it. You don't see it. So when you have an issue, you have an issue with me. I cook and I grow my own food. And I grow my own food. It's wireless. It's wireless. So I'm trying to break every system. I'm trying to break the system of diabetes in our culture because we eat processed food. But anyway, so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, your issue with me because I was there. So here's the thing, this whole entire generation that's sitting around arguing and fighting with each other were raised on the backs of these women. And you telling me they not God? You telling me they don't deserve to be you telling me these were the women that fed other women? I had a woman come in my office and I'm talking to her about her finances. Of course, she's buried in fuck shit. She Black. She don't know. She's never been educated about her finances. And I told her, I said, I know that Black women are going to be the most important part of fixing the financial issues in this country, because we're the ones that know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. I said, you've seen Black women that had nothing still come home and put dinner on the table. Now, y'all might not like this group of women that's out here right now, but I know somewhere one of y'all somehow got a big mama that when you came to her house, she would be like, hey, here's some chicken and some pinto beans. And you knew she had nothing. You knew she had nothing. She pulled a little bit of money out of her bra like this. And just so you wouldn't be embarrassed, she would press it in your hand like this where nobody would see. She'd be like. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not asking for these women to be elevated above other people. I'm asking for them to be able to take their rightful place. When you look at the what's that, the mountain that's got the little presidents on it, and it's
Yeah,
got
Rushmore.
Roosevelt and Rushmore. Thank you. That one. Who are those people? Who are those people? Why do we have monuments to people that held slaves, to people that did despicable things? So that's all I'm asking. We have Martin Luther King face all over everything, Martin Luther King Boulevard everywhere. There were just some black women that did some great things. There's some that are doing great things right now. And I'm just asking that the narrative be balanced out to say, because when I say, I'll be like, well, black women are the greatest group of entrepreneurs, black men always say to me, always, always, I've never had it not be said, we don't care about your money. We don't care about your degrees. We don't. I'm not saying there aren't men that don't say that. I'm just saying in my experience, everyone that when we have discussions about the accomplishments of black women, they say y'all are masculine. You think that because you did these things that y'all are equal with us. But see, we did it without men in our household. We did it without fathers. We did it without husbands. We did these things. And I feel if we, like I said at the top of the channel, give each other our flowers now, maybe we can turn this whole thing around. And I always say that misogyny is just racism's ugly cousin. If we can learn to share, we can teach the world to share. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke.
You're gonna need a lot of money.
I agree, Sim Simma. I agree wholeheartedly. And I just want to have these discussions. I don't think I'm right. Baby, when you see my video on patriarchy, you're gonna be like, she flipped her lid.
I believe you. When you tip me off about it, I'm like, ooh, I gotta hear this. I gotta hear it. But I wanna push back on what you said. I know you've been flowing. Everybody like you cooking, but I promise you, I just have so many points of difference. And I don't mean to sound like the black guys that say we don't care. But I'm gonna ask a question. The matrilineal women that you spoke of, and that we need to give them their flowers. If they were as good as advertised and they need these flowers, how do we get here?
The society broke these men.
Oh, the society.
Someone asked me this because I raised children, and they said that they were like, well, you women raise these children. I said, we raise these children, but then we release them to the culture. And you're absolutely right. We both bear a responsibility. Like when I speak from a woman's perspective, it's because that's all I can do. I want to make sure that's represented. When we watch Republicans and Democrats argue, they both believe the same thing fundamentally, but each one has a certain approach to what they feel like the issue or the problem is, and we hear them both out. So I think the answer is not in what I've said. Like I can admit that. And I don't think the answer is in what you said. I think it's somewhere in the middle. But the only way we can find what the middle is, what you can live with and what I can live with, is for us to both really come to the table and say, this is what I want. It is a negotiation. And on my channel, like whenever my channel goes out, it always says that, like, we do not negotiate with terrorists. It can't be a hostile takeover. And see, what we've been asked as women to do is submit. But that ain't really submission. There is no submission without a struggle. There is no submission unless both people have power, unless one makes the concession to submit. But if I'm powerless, that isn't submission, that's subjection. And that is what Black people know, because that's what we've been taught by our oppressor. Like you said, the Black woman is a victim of blah, blah, blah. And I did the Black woman victim narrative. But I said that in spite of all of that, Black women have led categories of other women and men in education, in a lot of different fields, in STEM and all these different things. It's in spite of that. So my thing is, there's something to learn from that. There's something to be taught. There's something for all of us to gain by being able to say these people started behind the people that started behind those people, and still they rise, still they thrive, still they are holding on to making Black families. And, we talk about these Black single moms and all that different stuff, but where would the Black kids come from? I mean, they're still holding on to putting their image out there in the world. And so, because we could give up, we close this whole factory up. I close mine up. I close my factory up. So it's enough. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. And a lot of women are. For the first time in history, we're seeing the death rate, the birth rate be lower than the death rate. Like, a lot of women are starting to say, we want our careers, we want this, we're not having these babies, we're not doing this anymore. But if we're going to bring balance back to the force, like if we're going to get it from women doing this back to this, I don't think the answer is this. I think the answer is this. That's all I've been saying. And whatever this looks like, we got to just keep discussing it, talking it out. That was what you said backstage that I wanted you to come out here and say. We got to just keep talking it out, weighing it out, figuring it out, because in those panels back in the 1970s, you had integrationalists talking with Pan-Africanists, people who were ready to pack up and leave the country, trying to say, okay, what can we give to the majority of Black people that we're willing to all get on board with? I mean, they never found it, because every time somebody stood up that we all believed in and agreed with, they shoot them in the head. But my point is, we were actually at least trying to find that medium. You had Malcolm sit down and talk with Martin. And Martin was like, we shall overcome peacefully with that. And Malcolm was like, by any means necessary, blow their head off, right? But we even see those two men come to the middle after much, I agree with that, Anya. After much negotiation, and say, you know what, the answer lies somewhere between what each of us came up with individually in the collective. But like Enya said, we got to do that individual work. But I think a lot of Black men and women are actually doing that part very well. Because like I said, these Black men be saying some fuck shit to me, but when we sit and talk one-on-one, they're intelligent, they're articulate, they're emotionally intelligent, and they say very nice complimentary things to me.
What's that face mean?
Because I'm not always sure what the motivation is. I mean, I'm Kurt, so they be saying stuff just to make me, feel better about them. But we have great conversation. We have great talks, and we always agree at the end of them saying all that fuck shit and me saying all mine, that we want the same things. They tell me that all the time. We want Black women. Like, that's why we throwing this in your face, because we want to be with you. They tell us that all the time. We want to be at home with Black children, just like Black women want to be with Black men. We want to submit to y'all. We want to take all this power, all this wealth, all these things that we are out here getting and amassing, and put it under an umbrella of protection and provision that you all bring to the table. We recognize that we need you. I put it on my Facebook post. I said, all y'all that's out here talking about wanting to humble these women, just move them to the country. Ever since I got down here to South Carolina, baby, I need a man like I need a manicure. God, send him to me. It humbled me. It humbled me in some ways. But we got to earn each other's trust back. We got to both be willing to earn it. We got to stop thinking we deserve it because of the personal work we did when we haven't done interpersonal work yet. We got to earn it. So I see both sides. You know me. I'm bound to say some stuff and then cut right back through it like I'm cutting through lines of coke. I will. Because the problems are complex and the solutions are too. But the point is just to have these discussions. It's just to test the temperature, to feel each other out, to hear each other, listen, and not be afraid of conflict. Because Rashawn, they don't know. After we get off here, we still we gonna disagree with each other, talk trash each other. I'm gonna talk about your non-existent beard, and we still gonna be all right.
It's all good. If I had a beard half as magnificent as yours, I'd probably be seen as a real man. I think the issue is what age women hit when they realize they really want a man. Yeah, that's another problem. That's another problem.
Country life is a Ooh, I think God brought me down here so I could find a man. So I would chill out a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, because this thing is not a joke. I was telling my son to move a bunch of stuff out the background that need to be put together. I can't do it, baby. I can't. And me and the drill, we ain't. So yeah. But my point is, if we all lend ourselves to it, if we're open to it, we can all put ourselves in positions to need, nurture, care for, love each other. And I think it has to start at home. I think it has to start with Black people, loving on Black people, because we were the first ones that walked down the middle school hallways and told each other that we wasn't nothing, that you was so Black and your mama was so Black. We were the first ones in a lot of instances to inflict these injuries on each other. And even though you can't heal, people like, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. If we can make these environments a little bit better, I think we can all collectively be a part of each other's healing and come out of this better, better than how we went into it, because we can't stop white people from calling us niggers. We can't do nothing about how they see us. But if we can begin to earn each other's trust back, we can finally have some Black families, some Black love, some Black, Blackness won't have to be a mockery. It won't have to be a mark. It won't have to be a curse. It can be something that people celebrate. Because like I told you, my job asked me to come and speak on Black history. And my subject that I've chosen is that Black history is American history. If you just tell American history right, then you don't need Black History Month, because we can all just be, like you said, who we are for the basis of something other than that. Like, why give us a Black History Month and we Americans too? Like, you're weird. So that's my point. Don't make us being women something different. Just make us be human, and then we can treat you like humans instead of feeling like, because I might get a man that don't know how to build stuff. I can't see what I would do with him, Jesus.
See what I'm
But if
saying
he
right
don't,
there?
But if he don't, I should still love him in his manhood. That wouldn't undercut his manhood, is my point.
I do have three
It
questions
can't.
from the chat for you, real quick. Now, the first one was from Enya a while back. So you were talking about the power balance. So power should be shared. Is that 50-50 equally?
Enya, I love you. I love you. Let's do something together. No. Power should be shared 100. You should always be completely responsible for yourself, and you should always at any point in time be able to take care of yourself and your partner should you be called on to, because the goal of marriage isn't to take these pictures, and the goal of marriage is to put the other person in the ground. And I've watched a lot of women in my family walk out marriages, and I can honestly say, I think the statistic is like over 60% of women outlive their spouses. So you're going to put them in the ground. You're going to put them in the ground. You're going to pay them bills by yourself. You're going to spend the last 5, 6, 16, 10 years of your life by yourself. So we as women give a lot more into a marriage than men give us credit for. I don't care how she cook, how she look, how she whatever. If she holds your hand at the end of your life, if she's the one that fixes a meal for you after you've been on dialysis or chemotherapy, my mother was there at the end when my stepfather died, when he took his last breath. And for the last 3 months of his life, we cleaned up any number of different colored fluids that came out of his body. We had to cover bed sores on his back. It's the most disgusting thing you've ever been a part of, to watch someone die, but he didn't want to be put in hospice. He asked her to take care of him to the end. And then she had to have his sister come and help, but he didn't want anyone from his family to see him like that. So she had to do it. She had to go through the pain of watching him die alone and without help, because that was his wish and that was his request. And men say that to me all the time about women knowing how to cook and clean. My mama can't cook worth a damn. I can't stand it sometimes. She'd be like, come over here and eat. I'd be like, but that's not what love is. That's not what marriage is. That's not what we sign up for. We sign up to die together, period. And whatever that looks like, whatever comes along the way, that's what we were supposed to be signing up for. We said, this is the person I want to be with when this happens. This is the person that I want to hear I have cancer with. This is the person I want to hear it's a boy with. This is the person that I want to hear congratulations on the house with. This is the person I want to be with if we lose the house. This is the person that if we lost this house, we could put ourselves together. I wouldn't lose hope if we lost the house because I have this person with me. So it should always be 100.
I like that last part for sure. I wanted to ask this question from Bree. What does the Black woman is God mean? It's an abstract idea, I'm gathering.
Because I am a Christian, because I am actually a Christian, it is not an abstract concept to me. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties over here. I believe in God. This man who wanted to submit me and make me his wife, but only under the terms that I would submit, which is why I don't have a third husband. He asked me that. He said, if you ever come out of line, who can I go to? Who would you listen to if you couldn't listen to me? And see, I was already off the boat at that point because I was like, well, dang, if I ain't listening to you, like, that's weird. But yeah, staying together isn't taught. It isn't taught. But I was like, that's weird. If it wouldn't be you, then. And he asked me that. He was asking me, do you believe in God and who's your higher power? And do you submit to that authority? And so he asked me, he said, do you believe in God? And I told him I believe in me. I never saw him again, but the point was I see myself. When God said, let us make man in our image, male and female made he them, and then he blessed them and he gave them dominion. And listen, I've been through many phases with my Christianhood because tons of people tell me I shouldn't be believing in God, and I agree with y'all. I went through that phase. I just came back. And I came back because of a deeper understanding and revelation. Like you said, when you climb those mountains when you climb those mountains of enlightenment and you look back, you see something different. And so when he said, let us make man in our image, he said male and female created he them. But when you look at the Godhead, you see a father, you see a son, you see this spooky Holy Ghost, and you don't see the woman, despite the fact that when he looked around, he had to have seen something feminine in the heavens in order for him to create a man and a woman together as his express image. So when I say the Black woman is God, I mean that we also reflect the image of God. We also have creation power. We also can speak into the darkness and we also have dominion. We are anything a man has, we have. And that's what that means when I say that, is that we've got to stop looking at ourselves abstractly as being less than a man. We may be different than a man, but a man cannot even express his power, his favor. And like I said, you gotta be all deep in scripture to like for anything I'm saying to even make sense. But it says that a man finds a good thing and he obtains favor from God when he finds a wife. So this man can't even operate in the favor of God in his life without a female counterpart. God set it up that way, not me. You can't have a kid without a woman. You can't have a home. You give a woman a house, she gives you back a home. We're the multiplier. It said that it was not good for a man to be alone. And so God created for him a helpmeet that was suitable for him. So when you think about help, if you were in trouble right now, Rashawn, and you called for help, would you call for somebody that was less than you or someone greater than you?
I will call for the person that could get the task done. They might be
Right.
either.
Well, here's the thing. When we ask for help, because I knew where you was going with it, but when we ask for help, we ask for someone who can do what we cannot. Because if we could do it ourselves, we wouldn't ask for help in the first place.
That's not true.
So at that point in time,
lots of things I could do.
Well, what I mean is when they say,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And I appreciate you for being what I would be in your position. But when we call for help, we're asking for someone to do, even if we're asking for someone to do what we can do, then they got to at least be equal to, they got to be multiplying our own power, because they got to at least be equal to what I would bring. If somebody came here to help me that I ended up having to help, I would be like, okay, I'm not calling that person for help again, because I ended up having to save them out of, that's like a lifeguard jumping in to come save you and start drowning themselves. Like, you just complicated the problem. So we have to really feel that, men have to really feel that women are capable of being their help. Like what I said about my stepfather at the end, if he didn't feel like my mom could hold it together, take care of all the bills in the house and him as well, because this man was dying, all he could give her in return was the good years of his life that he had given her, because in that moment he had nothing to give. And they told my mom, they said, put him in hospice. They said, walk away, because he wasn't the nicest. And she said, no, I'm going to stay with him. I'm going to stay with him to the end, because that was the commitment that she had made. I got an 84-year-old grandma who has a 95-year-old boyfriend. And that's what it's supposed to look like. All this BS we talk about, what you bring to the table, doesn't mean anything if you're not going to end up still at that table 30 years from now. But Black woman is God. whatever it means to whoever, but that's what it means to me when I say it.
I like that explanation. It sounds a lot better that way, that woman was a part of in the image of God, as opposed to, we want Black men and Black women to be equal, but the Black woman is God. So it just sounds like, okay,
the Black man is God.
That's cool. I can rock with it.
The Black child is God.
Okay.
We need to stop treating children the way that we do. We need to stop treating Black children like they don't have feelings, they don't have emotions, they would not grow up into. We got to stop treating them like if they go out and embarrass us in front of the master, that they're any different than white kids that do the same exact thing. So yeah, I believe in all the Blackness in the world expresses the image of God, because out of the Blackness comes every other hue, color, people, nation, tongue. There were two people in the beginning, and now we got all these people walking around with pale skin.
Now the last question was from Inya. She said wireless, because you were talking about the solutions that we needed to do.
I saw the question when it came up. Me and Inya have a connection.
I thought you were wireless.
Well, it's a Wi-Fi connection. It's Bluetooth. Can it happen in our lifetime? It cannot, Inya. It cannot. It won't. It didn't start in our lifetime, and it will not end in our lifetime. The only thing we can do is add to the right momentum. The only thing we can do is continue to have hope. There were slaves that died in slavery that had the hope that we would one day be what they could not. Like, even the views, how could I look down on what Rashawn is saying when he was given the right to have those views by people who were sprayed with water hoses, had dogs sicked on them, people who were hung from trees and set on fire. I sent a video to my, I know I be talking, but I be on some real shit in my mind. I sent a video to my manager because he asked me, because I was talking to him about racial disparity, and I was telling him that economic disparity, disproportionately affects Black women. He was like a lot of other men that was like, I don't think that's true. Women get so much help. And I'm like, women get so much help so that we can compete with men, so that we wouldn't be left behind. And so I was explaining to him how a woman doesn't have the same amount of projected income over her career as a man, because certain things come in, like childbirth, that could potentially pull her out of the economic field. And if she has women are prone to a lot more health issues that are way more detrimental, that we can't work through. And so I was telling him a woman is going to earn less on her hourly wage than a man, because there is a gender pay gap. And then on top of that, if she has a kid or two, then she could be out of the workforce anywhere from, she may never work again, and so if you take a woman who's going to work 25 years, whereas a man doing the same job would work 30 or 35, then we have to give women different financial advice than men. He didn't think that I should be doing that. And so I was explaining to him why I counsel women, why when I give financial advice to women, it's different than what I do to men. Because he was like, we should treat everyone exactly the same. And I was like, we can't treat minorities the same because they make less than white people. And we can't treat women the same because they're not able to make as much money on jobs. We can't do the physical jobs you do. We can't build scaffolds. We can't, we could, don't get me wrong. Some of us do. But most women are not going to have those jobs. They're just not going to earn over the life of their career what a man is capable of earning. And so he was like, I see your point, right? So then that conversation got like deep. And so I sent him a video about how they burned Rosewood to the ground and how Rosewood was the only black like settlement or whatever that got reparations. And so then I asked him this sophisticated question: why did Rosewood get? Because he was talking to me about Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was like, they never teach us this stuff. I didn't know anything about it. He was white when we first started talking, and then he turned Jewish halfway through the conversation, like they always do. The last white guy I really had this conversation with became 1/8 Cherokee Indian halfway through the discussion. I was like, yeah, I see you. So I understood what you meant when you were talking about the what was it on your podcast? The little wars about, our disparity and stuff like that. I want to coin that term.
When?
Did
you say my little podcast?
Your lovely
Did
podcast.
You just,
I said
okay.
lovely,
okay.
Giant. It was huge. It was
huge.
It was big. It was real big. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
it's a big podcast. Okay. But when you were talking about how we try to like out struggle each other, your term, I love it.
I don't remember.
Okay, you will. So, they start bringing in, they marginalized, minorities when they talk to me and they see that I'm really on some real stuff. So he was talking about Tulsa, and we were talking about Central Park and how, they built Central Park on top of, a black, city and all this different stuff. And I was telling him, like, you don't even know the half. So I sent him a video about Rosewood, and I told him, I said, why do you think Rosewood was different? Why did they give them reparations? Polite supremacy. Thank you, Inya. That was it.
That was it.
They want to be polite supremacists, so they got to bring in a great whoever that, I don't think who deleted your stuff.
So she mod.
But I told him that the reason why they had to give reparations in Rosewood was because that particular city was the hub of white economics in that area. When they burned that city to the ground, it took the whole infrastructure down. That city, that area, Rosewood, has been poor to this day. Nothing else ever grew back up in its space. Usually when white people burn down a black city like that, they'll just come in and gentrify it and take the land and build up something great and beautiful on it, and then be like, see, this was the reason why we did this. We had a plan. But in this instance, it took the whole white economy down with it. So there was something that those people were doing in Rosewood as black people that was bringing white people to their city to actually depend and rely on them for their, they were like the Walmart of that community, where white people had to come to them for what they wanted and what they needed. So it's like, I don't believe in supremacy. I don't believe it should ever go that way. I feel like when we learn how to share, it becomes better for everybody. I believe we're better stewards of that. I believe that Egypt was, Egypt was built on slave labor as well, and we see what happened to it. And I believe America is Egypt. Like, I believe we as black people, if we could get it down here, where the resources are so scarce, where the hatred for who we are individually and collectively is so deep, if we can turn this around, we can be trusted to lead pretty much anything at that point. But I was explaining to him that because of black women being the ones who understand oppression all the way from the bottom up, those are going to be the people. And we see it in Fortune 500 companies, because most of their CEOs are increasingly becoming black women because they do the most with the least. They're paid the least. They're respected the least. That black police chief, they put that whole Tyree Nichols thing on her. you know, and however it plays out, we'll learn about the nature of how we handle these things. See, and they gave her all black men doing this, you know, they want to see how she gonna handle it. So
I
my
mean, she was
point in
cheap
what
though, wasn't she?
she's cheap, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she had to eat that. She the
Yeah.
chief. She's
I
a
know.
leader.
I know. But my point is how many people have been the leaders and watched people march in the street and did nothing. So I'm just saying it's our response. And Diallo Kenyatta says this all the time because, you know, he's a Pan-Africanist. We don't actually agree on most things, but you can find the places where we agree with each other and then build from there. He says that all the time. We have to be revolutionary, but not reactionary. There's no revolution in reaction. So me and you, these things that we do here, we set these triggers off and see who we are and see what we're about and what we believe and where we disagree. And then we respond. As long as we don't react to each other and react to the energy, but we actually form a response. Because like I know we on here today, but I already know this ain't the last time. So it's like it strengthens who you are and your resolve and what you believe because it's challenged by something you like. That didn't make no goddamn sense. So now you get to go in the lab with yourself and strengthen your own personal belief systems. And then when you hit me with some things maybe I hadn't thought about, I can integrate that into the way that I negotiate, you know,
That'll
like
be
I hadn't
smart.
considered that. I hadn't
That'd be really
considered
smart.
that, Rashard.
That'd
Look,
be real smart.
I told you I had some flowers for you, Rashawn. For you and
Yeah,
your
and I
very,
appreciate it.
very big, very huge
My big
podcast.
podcast. My big podcast. Got big podcast energy. Y'all got that BPE, y'all. Don't sleep on this podcast.
Questions.
Yeah, but I want to push back a little bit because I don't. It ain't even on you. It's on Diallo. I don't even know this guy, but the revolutionary is can't be reactionary.
Mm-hmm.
A revolution is a reaction to oppression.
Okay.
I'm just like what? I need
A
to stop.
revolution is a culmination
Oh,
of an
we're word matching.
inability,
Word
of an
matching. Okay.
inability of an
Magic.
inability. Don't get mad at me and my word magic. Don't get mad because I'm David
Magic.
Bowie in the labyrinth. Don't get mad at me. But no, my only thing and what I'm saying is if we allow revolution to be a reaction to oppression, to what we've done, then we will miss the mark. But if revolution comes as a result of us being enlightened, us sitting down and talking with each other and saying, listen, we don't agree about this, and this, but we do agree about this. Let's build a school. We do agree about this. Let's plant a garden. Let's have a community garden in this area that is a food desert. We do agree about the fact that we need Black educators. So we're going to stop telling you that your degrees don't fucking matter. Like we can agree on certain things.
Jesus.
We could agree on like 2 things, and then I feel like we could walk away from this and it will have been productive, Rashawn. I agree with you twice. I did because I felt like what you were saying was valid, and I don't shy away from the masculine, because you said something earlier where you were like, I don't really see myself as being an alpha male energy, but I think you're probably one of the most alpha maic men that I know because you're not afraid to say I'm wrong. You're not afraid to share the platform with other people who don't agree with you. You're not afraid of what that makes you look like as a man if you're not the one that everybody agrees with. And I can understand because you're a semantics person. You just don't like to get caught up in what terms mean to other people. And so that's why you don't like to use certain words and why you talk about me and my word magic.
But it's important.
But it's leadership. It's important that we understand the term that we use and agree on its definition, but not necessarily because we could say right now that a chair is a table. And if we can agree on that, then we can call the chair a table the whole entire podcast and fuck what anybody else think. So my whole point is we just have to come to an understanding of the terms and what they mean. And so when I think of the divine masculine, that's what it is. It's men who make room and space for other people. Those are the men that marry. Those are the men that raise children because they've got room and space for other people that they can't control.
Oh, I'm going to control them if I have Iron Fist. But hearing everyone's perspective can bring change. Absolutely. Honestly, every change
Should.
that's
It
been brought
should
about in my
bring
life,
change. It
I
should
wouldn't
bring
say
change.
should. No, I won't even say that.
Even if you
Because
just believe what you believe more, that's still a change.
now sometimes you hear a perspective and it does nothing. It needs to just bounce off of you.
That's
It
true.
offers nothing. It offers
That
nothing
is
to you.
true.
So it doesn't
That is
even harden your
so
resolve.
true.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
like,
I
where did that
concede.
come from?
I
Like, I
submit
mean,
to
not even
you.
funny. Like, there was some people, boy, they were on here and they were telling me about the dome and how the firmament in the Bible, like, there was going, like, the dome was going to get pierced and all the water was just like right above this dome above us. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to make me believe more or believe less than what I already believe. But I'm gonna
But
sit that right over here for now, and we're gonna move on. I think y'all agree on a few things. It's just seen differently, if that makes sense. Yeah, I know. Ultimately, we agree on one thing: that my podcast is big. My podcast is not little.
huge.
Everything else is like really, it's really dicey in ya. It's really dicey. Now, I don't. Now, but I do believe you have a good intention.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, though, and this is just my opinion, but we're gonna. I want to battle it out. I want to battle out the ideas at some point. I think, though, that the
Mm-hmm.
identities that you reside in, prevents any new information from really hitting where it needs to hit. So, like, because sometimes people are so rooted in where they believe themselves to be,
Mm-hmm.
they can't imagine the position from any other place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we need to have a good back and forth about a couple of things.
Well,
Not
I
kind of like
think
it
that
ain't about being right, but it's about
yeah,
establishing where our actual position
yeah.
resides to
But I
see.
think because I'm so different than other people on your platform, like a foundation had to be laid. Like if we laid in on each other, because we know each other better than your audience knows me. You know what I mean? So I think if
Facts,
we laid
facts.
in on each other, then it would not have been, which we could still lay in on each other, baby. We could still come back to it one day. But I think this was a good session to actually just kind of see where each other stands. It's like before the fight when they all get weighed in and stuff like that. But it's not that, because what I believe is we're actually so similar, which is weird. It's weird that we can't agree on the fact that we're so similar. But
Because we just might not be.
the reason why I say that is because we're both moving targets. What I think and what I believe is actually this and I talk about how we all have to speak to each other, because that's the way we create the collective consciousness of God. Like the whole internet is nothing but a collective consciousness. It's a living, breathing, collective consciousness of thoughts and people. Like we don't want the manosphere on here spewing hate and inciting madness, but it's a part of the collective consciousness. If we didn't hear what those people were saying, we might not know that that was there. And
That's
so
true.
and so that's why I'm saying when it comes to me and you, we share, we listen, we grow, we change. Sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, I know one thing I know about you and I know about me. If there's new information, even if it doesn't line up with what we think or we believe, we're willing to hear it out and we'll research it. We're the type of people that go back. And if I tell somebody in a minute, I'll be like, I was wrong. Like somebody opened the patriarchy up for me, and all I talked about all season 2 long was how we need to get rid of patriarchy, how patriarchy was just going to be the thing that was going to come in and just
Mm-hmm.
ruin Black society. I was wrong like hell.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I spent all that time being out there sharing what I thought and what I believed, allowing myself to be tested by other people on it. If they didn't know that's what I thought, they wouldn't have been open to being able to educate me from a whole different perspective. If I had just sat there
Yeah.
and agreed with them, I wouldn't have known from their perspective the full gambit of the things I didn't even know. So that's the one thing about me and you. We give other people that room to be who they are and be persuasive.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think we have in common.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I think we'll all arrive. My main focus on my channel is that we all arrive somewhere, and that it look like all of the different journeys and all of the different values and opinions that we had. That's technically what America is. That's technically what the dream was supposed to be. The dream was supposed to be capitalism and one person being a billionaire while somebody else slept on the street. The point was supposed to be in that all these people could come from all these different cultures and all these different countries, retain those cultures and they didn't have to, we don't have to go somewhere where now we got to wear a burqa and cover up our whole entire bodies, because we don't live under a theocracy. We live under a democracy, which says that person who's wearing a burqa is welcome here, but I'm also welcome to not wear it if I don't want to. So that's what these, that's what I love about your channel. And the space that we're trying to create is that we can be wrong like hell, but we'll be wrong together.
I will let you be wrong around me, but we will not be wrong together. You're going to be wrong by yourself. The wrong woman. but I'll let you stand beside me while you wrong. But I'm going to just have a t-shirt that says,
well, just as long as I can
stand
beside you instead of be underneath you. That's all. But yeah. You're muted.
See, I can be wrong too. See, I can be wrong. There we go.
And I'm going to stand beside him. And I'm going to stick beside him.
See, there it is. No, I really appreciate this conversation. I do think I didn't get to anywhere near, but more than a couple of the questions I actually have for you. But I enjoyed hearing your perspective. I know we talked about that mountain of enlightenment. I'm going to leave some flags every 100 feet or so that you can follow the path.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think people on your channel get so much of you out of your content, your views, and your opinions. So I really appreciate you, despite the fact that we went off your regularly scheduled program, allowing me to give them a little bit of myself organically, because I do not, I'm never myself on my channel. I always get to other people's channel and finally tell people who I am and what I really think and what I believe.
Oh.
And then they come to my channel and be like, the fuck is this? What is this?
What?
So thank you.
You be faking?
It's not that it's faking. It's not that it's faking. It's just that I'm working in my purpose over on my channel, and my purpose is to infuriate, trigger, challenge, just anger people. My point on my channel is to be misunderstood so that people can spend more time with what they think they believe. So yeah. But coming over here, I could be myself because I have no purpose over here. I have no point over here. But
you get to just be a woman. You get to just be a person.
You gave me a room to be a feminine. You found the hole, Rashawn, and you plugged it.
I found the hole. Yes.
You found the hole.
With the big podcast.
And you plugged it with your huge podcast.
That podcast is big. But it's good though, right? You enjoyed it.
It's good. I mean, yeah, it's the first time. We've still got some things to work.
I mean,
through.
But on a 1 to 10, I mean, but I'm your most favorite podcast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You weren't the best, but you were my favorite.
I wasn't the best.
But you were my favorite.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that. It feels like
you
shade.
Were my favorite. You were my favorite. Okay. But I think, like I said, the next time we can go ahead and box it out because everybody knows where everybody stands and what the point is. So
I'm coming for you.
Rashawn has been on my channel as well, you guys, and we was pulling shots over there because over there is where it's real ridiculous. I don't have the type of space that you do. So thank you for coming over here and being nice to me, because over there we was trading shots. But
you was taking shots at your boy. This is what she said. She said, I can't correct her. I can't correct if my beard don't connect. I mean, if that was beard does classic.
Not connect. You can't correct. There it is. Boom. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a sonnet. It was a sonnet. But like I said, we have so much room. We have so many people who are so supportive of who we are and what we bring to this space and our different energy that we definitely, have to do something again. So
yeah, for sure. That's right. I promise you, it's my mission now. I gotta save one person right now. It's you.
But see, I gave you the cheat code, so now you can pin me down. Now you can get me because you know my secret. A lot of people didn't know I was Bane, but you You've exposed me.
You mean
Yes.
Batman? I'm Bane.
Okay. Well, a lot of people didn't know I was Batman. I've been keeping the secret. No one's ever seen the wireless woman and Debbie and Nikki in the same room at the same time. But I assure you, my goal, despite because see, as a woman, I want to release chaos energy. When
I
chaos
see.
energy when dark black chaos energy is unleashed, it creates a space for order to come in. A lot of us are wanting to order things that are already underneath our subject. If I just submit to you, then it doesn't really bring anything into order, you know? And that's not to say when I say chaos energy, people think I mean like wild, ridiculous stuff. I'm in therapy. That's not what I'm talking about. When I say chaos energy, I mean creative energy, the same energy that it takes to birth this universe that we live in, to birth a child. That same energy is in birthing a child. A woman has to die to give that birth. A man has to die to give a woman a child. So that chaos energy, when we embrace it instead of trying to run from it, we create beautiful things together in concert with each other, like we did tonight with your huge podcast, Rashawn. I think the people were enthralled and entertained.
They were pleased, and I'm glad I was able to
They
fill the
were
hole.
pleased.
I'll look forward to filling it another time. But I do want to maybe chop this video into shorts. I don't do shorts and I don't do edits. But I will say though, we'll definitely do something again. I promise you, like seriously. Like I prompt by the time, give me 6 months, I will have you out of the black thing. You'll still be black. You can still be proud to be black. Give me 6 months of conversation, I promise you. And it'll make you, it'll clear some stuff up. It'll clear some stuff up.
She said in the white supremacy.
White supremacy, because once you get rid of the white supremacy, I promise you.
Simma, I
You said
subscribe to your
something.
show.
Yes. Check out Simma for sure. Let me see. Did I put that in there under Sim or Simma? I bet I put Simma. You said something earlier. Insecurities that prevent self-actualization.
Yes.
Insecurities. One of the insecurities stems from the blackness.
True.
That creates a fault. That creates an insecurity.
Okay.
That prevents a level of self-actualization. So anywhere if there's an insecurity around femininity or insecurity around masculinity, insecurity around blackness, there's going to be something that you're not tapping into. So I'm saying that's all I'm saying. Like if once that's cleared up, I promise you, there's another. Like you talked about with the chaos and the structure. Once those two things are, there's another level. So there's levels to this stuff. But I want to see. I want to see your next step. I want to see what you talk about the patriarchy. I can't wait. And I want to see the development. I'm looking forward to it.
Ooh, I don't know if I can say that because I think I'm gonna isolate my core fan base with that one. But
Does
it has
does
to
it
be
matter?
said. Not
Does
at
it
this
matter?
point. Not at this point. Not for any of
Yeah.
us. But I do think that when people see you double down, it's a vulnerable space to be in because I try to stay in feminine energy, and feminine energy teaches the world how to be vulnerable when we do it right. And so Bree talked about that, about, women not being able to say that they're sorry and they were wrong, you know. But there comes a certain point where I think people see it when you double back on what you said you believe in, like a weakness, like, she can't be trusted now. You know what I mean? And so that's the courage that you have to have. That's the chance you take when you amend something that you previously, held dear and believed in. But like I said, what are we doing this for? How could I call myself the wireless woman if I held on to a belief that no longer served me?
Yeah, you be stuck. That's another wire. That's a new
Yeah.
tether, a new
And,
anchor.
and why
Yeah.
should anybody follow someone? I mean, we're on here to get followers. We're on here to be influential over other people. Why should people follow people that can be wrong and then not even be willing to amend their belief system when they know that can potentially be detrimental to other people?
Facts.
Yeah,
If
I
you
just
can't,
never knew
not, I
what the
mean, yeah,
patriarchy was. I never knew what the patriarchy was, which makes sense because I'm in the blackness, right, where the power,
mhm.
where the patriarchy is powerless. So not understanding what it is, what purpose it serves, what function it served, I had to submit myself to a man that explained it to me.
And there you go. a little enlightenment. But there is
Yeah.
something to be said, ladies, of submitting yourselves to a man.
It's a lie.
That's what she said she had to do to grow. She had to submit herself to a man to grow. I'm just saying.
I'll never admit that in court. I'll never admit that. I can neither confirm nor deny that allegation.
It's been recorded. But listen, everybody, thank y'all for being here. I hope y'all have a wonderful evening. This is the Wireless Woman. Everybody, please make sure in the description, the @Wireless Woman, you can click that, go directly to her page and sub up. And I will see y'all next time. Just a housekeeping. Next time I will see y'all. What's today? Thursday?
I tell you, sub today, unsub tomorrow.
Nah, there's no reason. She got a banging intro. If y'all like my intro, she's also got a banging intro too. I thought she was talking about getting rid of it. She decided not to. Crazy bass line. I love it. But make sure y'all check out her content. Facts. I will see you soon, Wireless Woman. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I want to try to. Sorry, Wireless. I'm just trying to figure out when I'm back on again. But have a good night. Let me see. Everybody, dang, my brain just went blank. I think I'm gonna podcast it out. So Tuesday, Thursday. That's the schedule I'm trying to get to. Tuesday, Thursday. If I pick up a new show, it'll be another day. Over on Twitch. Anybody that follows me on Twitch, we've got the next several weeks, all through February. Me and Yella have the weeks of we have forget it. It's verses. We're doing verses music on Twitch. You can come over and do that. We don't know exactly what we haven't settled on the day. We kind of just pick one. Let me just end this because I'm tired. My brain's not working. I will see y'all Tuesday. If Bree's here or not, it'll be about Black love. So we'll be honoring Hanifa Na'ila's show where she talked about what do you love about Black men and Black women. So regardless, that's what we'll be talking about on Tuesday. Thursday on the Man Show, I don't know. I've got a few things lined up, but I know what I did today on the Come On Man. That came up with that last night. So I don't know what it'll be in ahead of time. But come back Tuesday, come back Thursday for the next 2 scheduled shows. Anything else will be unscheduled, and look for the thumbnails. I feel like I'm supposed to be on another show. My brain is gone. Fried. Anyway, I hope y'all have a good day because I really can't think. My brain is gone. I will see y'all. It's Black History Month. Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? Excuse me. I only debate my equals. All others I teach.
Need all the hundreds and fifties, let's get it. I'm with this shit, so let's get it. Killing it, leaving the body, no medics. Box like I'm Lenny Kravitz.
You have cooned so bad, my brother, that they damn near need to put your face in the dictionary next to the word coon. And I don't mean no disrespect, my brother. White man play you like he play Sega. He play you, this is you. He ain't even got to be in the hood. He got this. He played Negroes like this. But they not speaking up against your oppression. I wish another coon, boot-licking, shut-jiving Uncle Tom will get in my face talking about we need to be patient.
We gotta sweat. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all don't want to sweat. Y'all just want to be comfortable.
It's none of your concern. You don't have the right to ask me where I've been. You don't have the right to know what I was doing. You messed up, and I took a break. And guess what? The next time you mess up, I'm going to take another break.